Welcome back to the Mr. Global channel. How do we turn this around in the United States? Before I get started, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate all of my new followers and subscribers. As you know, you may have seen a video I posted early this morning. Basically, I'm in a really low place in my feelings about the state of the union, basically where we are in the United States. I don't recognize this country anymore. And I say that understanding that I've heard people say that a lot in the past. They don't recognize the country anymore, but the things they weren't recognized or weren't recognizing are not things that are fundamental core values. You know what I mean? If you see somebody with purple hair walking down the sidewalk and you say, I don't recognize this country anymore, that doesn't mean much. That doesn't mean much. When I say I don't recognize this country anymore, I'm talking about the very core values that I have always believed was the foundational values that this country was built on and has been built on and has grown on and became a superpower on. Those are the things that I don't recognize anymore. And I don't live in some distorted revisionist history where I believe the United States was always some, beacon of truth. Certainly, we can easily identify the times in our history where we haven't held our values, the values we claim to have, where we didn't hold those, right? But where we are now is much lower than we've ever been, as compared to where we should be or where we want to be. We as a country today we are so individualistic. I don't understand how we can even claim to call ourselves the United States of America. This is, in these days, the most individualistic country I've ever seen. Everyone, it's every man for himself, every woman for herself. There's not near the voices out there that there used to be. And if it possibly, they could be drowned out by all the noise. But all of the people that brought communities together, that really promoted sort of a communal mindset, thinking about your neighbors, general care for the welfare, for the public. I don't see that anymore. And yes, those people exist. But it's almost like we view them now as they're the different ones, as if they're the radical ones. If you see someone speaking out in support of their community, where they're encouraging people to do things, to help others around them, and not be so selfish and so self-centered. If you see anyone speaking in those terms, we live in a time now where they're almost like looked down on and insulted. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm going to be honest. And another thing that's happening more than ever that a lot of people don't realize is they spend so much time on social media not understanding that a lot of those comments and responses and even the content that you see on social media, it's not even people. It's not people, it's fake accounts. This is where we are being attacked is through social media. I can go through something I post on social media and spot every comment that is designed to create hate, fear, division. And we are bombarded with it every single day. And most people don't realize that those aren't actual people making those comments. And so all the fighting starts in the comment sections. these people are fighting with nobody. They're fighting with a bot farm. They're fighting with some phone that's tied to 1,000 other phones that's just cranking out hate all day because somebody thought that was a good idea. Yeah. So maybe the first step in trying to, deal with your depression from the state of this country is understanding that maybe what you see on social media isn't exactly a reflection of the ideas and thoughts and the way people feel around the country. It is a reflection of some people, but that voice, that reflection is magnified exponentially through technology. There's not as many people that believe the hateful things you're seeing on social media as is portrayed to you, is what I'm saying. People in this country need a lot of education on social media and what's happening in the social media space. It's the number one source now. People get their news, their entertainment, you name it, social media is the king. And people need to be educated on it because guess what? It's not like television where the FCC says, hey, you can't show that. It's not like that. It's pretty much like the Wild West in the early days. Everything is game. Everything is fair game. In addition, the other thing that's magnified more than anything are the extremist views from both sides, far right and far left. Those voices are heard significantly more than the 80% of us that are in between those two spaces. The more reasonable people, and even within the more reasonable people, out on the edges, they may be a little more extreme, but somewhat reasonable. The vast majority of just the most reasoned moderate people, probably 50 or 60% of the population right in the center. And those people that exist in that space, and I am one of them, have to be the voices of reason. And listen, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. I am historically one of those voices of reason, but even I get swept up in the emotion and all of that stuff because just the constant just being bombarded constantly with all of this stuff. Sometimes you gotta reset your coordinates or recenter yourself. Sometimes you have to stop and take a breath and recognize this isn't real. Well, some of this is real, but a lot of this isn't real. And try not to let the things that aren't real bother you. The point is, the voices of reason need to be drastically amplified, especially in social media spaces. People who seek the truth, people who seek consensus, people who understand that logic should rule the day. Logic should rule the day. Those voices need to be amplified greatly. The problem is there's not any money in that. There's not any money in logic. There's only money in fear, hate, and division. If you want to compete with that, you have to figure out how to monetize that logic. You have to figure out how to monetize something that most people may not want until they get so sick of the other thing. And I think people are getting so sick of the other thing that they are starting to acquire a thirst for reasoned logic, if that makes any sense. Every bit of information now that we receive in the general public is altered somehow to push a narrative one way or the other, to make someone look better or worse. We can't ever just get the facts. I think the people of this country have a really distorted view of what's actually happening here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm lost. Like I think about this a lot. I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do. Have you thought about what you can do? I mean, this seems like such an overwhelming problem that just will take millions and millions of people. Let me know your thoughts, please, in the comment section. Once again, thank you all so much to my new followers and subscribers. See you guys soon.